Welcome, everybody, back to Tales from the Cage. If you're not familiar with our podcast, we go over old school regional Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana MMA from back in a better time, in my opinion. Today, we got Steve Reyna. Steve, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Doing fantastic.
We're going to dive into your MMA career. We're going to start from the very beginning. Before you started taking fights, what got you into martial arts? Specifically, you from a jiu-jitsu background. Let's start from there. I know you and your brother kind of started training roughly around the same time. Let's go on how it all became.
Yeah, the last time I actually did this, I did this for Ray when we did this E3 thing. I mean, we'll probably get to that in a little bit, but it started off, man, with karate from my father. My father was a Kempo black belt, and then was a judo, I believe, purple belt. And he just, hey, introduced us to Bruce Lee, just probably like most people, and it went from there. Went from karate, went to wrestling, and that's basically where I got the start. Like seeing Bruce Lee movies and to seeing movies like Vision Quest. One of the only wrestling movies I'm aware of in the
Mm-hmm.
time. But yeah, it started off that way for my brother and I both, and then it went from just you know taking karate to doing the wrestling. And then I remember my brother was the one who really dove into wrestling. And when he kicked my ass one day, I was like, fuck this, I got to do wrestling. So I really got into wrestling. Um, and then once that once that got through when we were doing wrestling, there was a guy you might be familiar with him. His name's Chris Manick. He was around Braulio at the time, and he came in one day. He said, "Saw me and my brother fight at Pinky." And he's like, dude, you guys should come check out this place. You guys seem like real intense. And we started training jiu, or I did, anyways. I started training jiu-jitsu first, and I remember trying to beg my brother, dude, you gotta go with, man. It's just totally, it's different shit. And he's like, no, 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 I just need my wrestling. Okay. And we end up going to Arlington Heights and meeting up with a guy you probably know, Asu.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started just jumping. I mean, I made it so much so that I remember saying, I don't want to just be good, man. I want to be great because I felt like this was something I could really kick some ass to and be good at it, be more than good. So I
Actually,
started
just
going every day in Arlington Heights. I mean,
I was just I actually just drove by a Sioux school maybe like a month or so ago when I was up in Arlington Heights. Um, were you guys in Indiana at the time?
oh yeah, Indiana, right there in Hammond.
So how often were you guys? Because that's a far drive. How often are you guys going up there?
At one point for the first 6 months, man, almost every day and Saturday.
Really?
Yes, because the guy who the guy that I mentioned, Chris, he was driving out there. He wanted to go all the time, and I just said, hey, as soon as I get out of work, I coach wrestling over at Clark High School in Whiting. So my brother and I were coaching, and he was like, dude, don't even worry about it. I'll pick you up from the school. I'll freaking jet out there. Classes don't start till about 6 o'clock. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. I get done at what, 3, 4, 5. I get about 5 o'clock. We were there roughly, with the way he drives, we were there pretty fast.
Mhm.
And then we'd stay from six something to about 9 and drive back, you know. Great times driving back, going through some of the wicked spots in Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's for probably 6 months. And I remember when that happened, while we were doing that, first 6, 7, 7 to 8 months, I looked at my brother and I see he was having a belt promotion, and we went and we were promoted a blue belt. We went and tested, and yeah, it was just a fucking great time. But that's how we were doing it every day after work.
So before you were fighting, were you guys doing any like obviously it wasn't as big at the time like to even draw, but were you guys doing any grappling tournaments before fighting or no? Or I should say like well, you said you
Uh,
fought a couple times before that, but when you linked up with the Sioux, like in your early days, because obviously at that time, like
no,
Those were hard to come by.
Yeah, no, no, you're right. No, the only tournaments I had done were just wrestling tournaments.
Okay.
Um, so there was no at the time there was really no. I don't think Naga was around that yet over here, as far as I remember. I think I did the very first Naga that came out when it came out here, and that was at that Morton High School. I forgot where at in Illinois, but it was a big gymnasium, big school, and pretty sure there was a bunch of guys. I mean, guys that like right now, guys that you know for a fact that were everyone was there at this big place. And
Right.
yeah, but no, before that it was just wrestling, and then I just trained jiu-jitsu. So I wasn't even doing kickboxing or anything yet. I hadn't started striking or doing anything like that. I just I just wanted to be good enough to do jiu-jitsu and then and feel comfortable at doing it.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this is that once I found out um, there were going to be tournaments, I remember saying I want to give some of them a shot, but I wasn't 100% on the skill set I had.
Mhm.
And I remember a gentleman by the name of Ken Sheets was like, "Hey man, just go compete. Don't fucking talk yourself out of it. Go compete." He's like, and you'll thank yourself when you just get in there and do it. You'll be surprised when you're tested how quickly your body will get in there and you won't want to lose. If you're that
Right.
competitive, you won't want to lose. I mean, I kind of knew that, but it was submission, and just maybe getting hurt. It wasn't wrestling. So
Right.
I said, "Fuck it." I remember doing it, and I won my division. At that time, I won my division.
Nice. So we'll go into your first two fights. You fight Dan Caesar both times. One is at the or no, actually, no, I'm looking at your opponent. Sorry.
Oh,
Um, okay, I was actually looking at Carlos Perez really quick. Let me go back because that's what I wanted to talk about in a second. But actually, let's talk about Brian Allen before that. So you have a fight over at Finky's May 22nd, 2000. Brian Allen, who booked that fight?
uh, nobody. I don't know if you were aware, but Brawley used to throw fights at Finky's every last Monday of the month.
Uh-huh.
And it was when you show up, you were paired up with somebody.
Right, right. But
There
was
was
that
nobody in your
solely
weight division.
through you, or did you have a coach putting you in this?
No, I just did that. I just went
Okay.
to try to fight. You know, we saw it was $100, so we were like, "Cool, I can use $100." Yeah, that was just something you walk into, you put your name on the list, and then they kind of walked you through it and said, "Here's what you got to do." Made sure we had gloves, made sure we had a cup, made sure we had mouthpiece, and if we understood the rules, there really wasn't any, do you have formal training? You just go in. As a matter of fact, at that same place, they were just yanking people out of the crowd. Some guys
Right.
were
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were guys that were drinking. I remember that. It was that type of place at the time. They did change that rule, I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your next fight was Carlos Perez. Now he fought Mike about like a month or so before he fought you. Was this something you asked for, or was it just total luck of the draw?
I can't remember. I think I did say I wanted to fight him. Um, because they were, you know what, in the beginning, man, that I remember they talked shit. Carlos and his buddies talked shit about my brother, and obviously me being the brother I am, I'm like, started talking shit back, and he had that big dude in this corner, Jay. But I remember telling him, yeah, I'd fight him, but I can't remember if I asked Braulio or if Braulio asked me. Either way, I think I did kind of say I would do it. Um, and even at the time, we still didn't have any real good formal training yet because I hadn't met my buddy Chris, who I'm friends with now, still to go out there and train jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
So I had no jiu-jitsu in my background. Just right.
You end up fighting Carlos again. It's listed as MMA Invitational 4 in Hammond. Was this a Joe Goitia event or no?
No, Braulio put this event on.
Okay. Well, do you?
If it's
I'm trying to put the
Yeah,
dates
Braulio.
together. Was he? I'm trying to think if this predated Ironheart Crown One or not. Um,
Um, I fought in Ironheart. And it was Ironheart was after this.
Okay. Was Moon promoting this event, not the Ironheart, but MMA Invitational with Brawley or no?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I remember Eric pretty good,
Yeah.
and I don't believe he was a part of this. Um, I don't remember how long Braulio was known, Eric. So
Mhm.
it's possible that I don't know that, and he was, but
Yeah.
I remember Braulio was the one who put it on. Because when I fought it, I think when I fought Carlos the second or the first time, something about being invited back to do the invitational
Okay. Yeah.
uh, at that event. So they brought back certain people, and I remember them asking me if I wanted to do it, and I just said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then they told me, "Yeah, we're gonna, fight Carlos again." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck. All right, man." Because I had already lost to him. Decision wise, I lost to him, and then yeah, I said, "Fuck, I'll do that."
So when you do fight at Ironheart, it's Ironheart 3 Exodus. You fight Dave Novacek. Same thing. This was through Braulio, and it was actually a small tournament. You end up fighting Miguel at that event as well, Miguel Torres, who I do know that Moon and Braulio were both in the ring after, so they were definitely partnered up. Um,
Sure.
like that event, if you look back at the card, like man, that's got a lot of names on it. Like you had Jay Buck on that
Oh
card,
yeah,
Henry Matamoros, who is like a Wisconsin legend in jiu-jitsu. Um,
yeah.
Stephan Bonner, obviously long predating the UFC at the time. Fighting on like a show like the Ironheart for you for the first time, obviously it was like even just like aesthetic wise, looking at the Hammond Civic Center, and back then the crowds were packed, unlike it is now. Obviously a big step up in environment when it comes to Finkies. Is this at like a point where you're kind of like thinking, all right, I want to like actually do this?
Yeah, I remember I remember my when because I had started training jiu-jitsu by then. I remember my coach at the time, Asu, was like, "Listen, man, there's this tournament. I think we can get you in there. Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." Um, Throughout my brothers and my career, as short as it was, anyways, we we said yes to just about everything. That's not always a good thing, but it gave us opportunity to go places and do, more than most, I guess. I remember when they asked me, I thought once I got there, so early on in the fight game for myself, I thought this is a big step up.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I get to fight in this big ass organization, which I thought was huge, because the way it was put on the flyers and things,
Mm-hmm.
I thought like this is fucking awesome, and I remember there was going to be a ton of people, and there was a lot of people that came for me, and yeah, it looked better than any place I'd seen, in any other places I had fought already.
Right.
Yeah, so I was pumped. I remember being pumped, scared. I was nervous, just like anybody, But yeah, I thought it was great. And yes, I specifically remember telling my buddy at my parents' house we were doing tickets, and he's like, "So you're really gonna do this fight, man?" I said, "Yeah, fuck yeah, man." And he goes, "How long do you think you put up with this? How long do you think you do it?" I said, "You know what? As long as I don't get injured, I think I'm gonna be good." I go, I can't see I can't see me getting better and losing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of laughed at me. He goes, "Dude, everyone loses." Like, oh, I didn't say I wasn't going to lose. I just said I don't think I'll lose a lot, man. I think I'm going to do good. I think I'm going to do real good. I said, and it's hard for me to. A lot of people get like, they say, oh, this was hurting on me here. This was doing that. This is why I lost. Those guys that say, oh, we had ring rust. We didn't fight enough. We didn't. Dude, I fought and that was it. You remember the movie, the documentary, Mark Hurt, the Smashing Machine? You ever
Yeah.
seen that?
Oh yeah.
There's a little line he puts in there, or that he says. He's like, some people get hit and they cower away, and then others get hit and they want to hit back, and that's how I fought. I felt like that was my mentality every time. So I felt like I would do well. I would do real good when I fought, and I believe I did. I mean, so yeah, it was good. It was good to be in that tournament. I was glad to be there.
So you take like a 5 year layoff, and then you end up in Brazil in the Amazon at Jungle Fight 6, which that card, now we're talking about cards and names. You got Tony D'Souza, future UFC vet. I think he wrestled for California over at Bakersfield, if I'm not mistaken. You have Marcos Galvao on there, Fredson Paxao, ADCC vet. You face off against Adriano Martins. There's Talis Leites. Pele's on the card. Alexander Shplenko
Oh
loses to
yeah,
Jacare. And then in the main event, you have Lyoto Machida. Obviously, like these guys are all pre UFC at the time. How did you get hooked up with that event?
um, okay, well, I got to take a little pause right there because I didn't take 5 years layoff. What happened was I took fights in some smaller event type places that I could never get them to add them into the
Oh, okay.
database of the system. And I remember there was a gentleman on the East Coast that I kind of linked up in on TikTok one day. And he was uh, promoting his school fight videos and things like that. And he saw me on there one day and hey, he says you fight and we should do a podcast. What's your record? And I said, I don't know, something like I think I got like 15 or 13 fights, something like that, and so like 4 or 5 losses. And, oh, that's great, dude, that's great. And I'll have somebody verify it. I I don't ever remember getting on SureDog until that day to look at my actual record.
Yeah.
On ESPN, they had me 0-4. On other places, they had me 0-1. On SureDog, I seen it says 5-4. I said, I got at least 13 fights. And then a few of those are not mentioned in there, and I can't get any. There's no way of me putting those on there. So I didn't take a 5 year layoff. I still fought a couple times.
Were you
But
fighting locally for these?
yeah, there was like I fought in Angola in Indiana,
Uh-huh.
and then somewhere in southern Illinois. I can't remember where, like Marion County. We went down there and fought, and it was just these. We got paid, but it was just they were I don't know, they were small
Who
bullshit fights, and
do you
I could
remember who
never get.
promoted the Illinois one? Was that like maybe Chad Bergmeyer or like Jason Reinhardt or
Nope. I have no idea who that was from, man. I have no idea. But it was just they were just single fights, just
yeah,
wasn't like a tournament or anything. But
right.
that and there was one like the Angola one that was a tournament, and I ended up getting a hold of that guy. I'm trying to remember his name right now, but it was like Warrior Fights or Warrior Quest or something. The dude got a hold of me later. I ended up hooking up with some of the other guys that were on the event, and they told me the same thing. Like, yeah, we can never get a DVD of that. We don't know how to get in touch with the one guy. And it was the first time. That was actually the first time I ever fought in a cage.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't take much of a layoff. There was some time in between, but
right.
it wasn't like a stagnant 5 years. I was still doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, uh, going out to Brazil, that was something that was uh, promoted for me to get into by Asu.
Okay.
Asu was had I guess made friends with Waleed Ismail, and I kept saying, "Listen, I think this would be a good opportunity for you to try to get in this." And I said, "Well, like I told you earlier, my brother and I were always just like, yeah, let's do it." So he kept coming back to me, "Hey, man, this is going to happen. This is what's going on. You'll be fighting, hopefully around 170 or something." I think that was the weight I fought at. And he goes, "These guys, I'm emailing them. They're letting me know what the money would be and this and that." And okay, I mean, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was like a stalemate. I didn't hear nothing for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it's like, "Hey, you're going." I'm like, "Really? I'm going?" Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, you're going. It's gonna be a pay-per-view event. It's gonna be this and that." And I didn't even know who was fighting on the card until I got out there.
Hmm.
My couple roommates were Lyoto Machida, Talis Leites, and who's the other dude? Alexander Shplenko, which that dude became a fucking beast in
Right.
Bellator later on.
Right.
Uh, yeah, Tony D'Souza was on in my area, and then was it Marcos Galvao? I can't remember the one dude's name. But that event, uh, I didn't know how to want to go back to anything smaller. I was really hoping after that because although I lost to Adriano, um, I just looked at it as like the people in Brazil uh, made it feel like I was the winner.
Yeah.
When I left that place and I went out to like the mall and things, we went shopping later on. Like Waleed's sister took us to some huge mall, and it was like if I had a pen, I'd be signing autographs.
Yeah.
Honestly. So like when I got back home, I think the only person that knew I fought out there was James O'Connor. And he's like, dude, I saw you fought in that thing out there, man. It's fucking awesome. I'm like, really? You heard that? He goes, yeah, I heard about it. But the stories in there with some of these guys, man, the shit that they wanted to do. I don't know if you got time for a little story about
Go
it.
for it.
But okay, so I got my jaw dislocated by Adriano. If you saw the fight, I don't know if you have, but he gets around my neck, and I had done this many times, which you probably know. Sometimes you can let a guy get a submission out of you, squeeze the shit out of you, and it'll burn his arms out, or lactic acid will build, and
Yeah.
it's like makes it tough for them to move. I had done this plenty of times. This dude got on my back after I knocked his ass down, and got the rear naked choke on me, but got it over my jaw, and I let him crank, and I didn't think nothing of it. So when you see him on me, he's cranking, cranking, and I had already heard a crack right here in the side of my jaw.
Yeah.
Just a crunch noise. And I let it go. I'm like, ah. Then when I'm tapping, I tell people all the time, I said, when you see me doing this, I was like, that was the limit. That fucking pain set in. That pain really got in. Like right when he let go, I felt like I was like, oh, I thought I'll be cool. I'm gonna be good. Like, no problem. My jaw didn't break. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all right. We get done. I'm talking to people. I get dressed. I'm in the back picking up the shit. I come back out there. There's still Pele and these guys fighting. And they said, "Hey, we're thinking about going out after the event. Keep your phone on in the room, or be around." Okay. I totally disregarded that. I'm like, I'm gonna go have a beer. Let's get some pain meds, because I lost. I'm sitting there drinking, drinking, drinking. Nobody fucking got a hold of me. They all walked through the lobby and watched. I'm sitting there. I didn't realize I drank. I drank till the next fucking morning because they let that bar stay open the whole time. And all I see is Carlos Vallarta walk in. Hey, Steve, where the fuck were you? Where were you? I didn't fucking hear nobody. Then I see Demetrius Wanderlei come in. He's all like busted up. Come on, man, we're gonna go have fucking breakfast. And I'm like, I didn't even think I can get off my stool.
Yeah.
Those guys, man, those guys, Carlos Vallarta, it was Demetrius, and it might have been who's the little dude, uh, little badass Brazilian guy. He lost. He was like, come on, man, come on, come on. They
On that
fucking carried me
card,
up there. Yeah,
are you
he
talking about
fought
Pele
Marcos.
or
Oh, not Pele. He's a little guy. He's sort of
oh,
like
someone
maybe.
small? Oh,
Yeah,
Fred's
he's a little guy.
Paxal?
Preston Pashal. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
he's like, come on, man, come on. I get in the elevator and like I felt like I couldn't walk. And number one, I had kicked Adriano in the later part of that first round, almost to the end. I kicked him just below the kneecap, and I mean, I fucking kicked him hard. So I was busting his leg up during the fight. I kicked him so hard, man. I thought for sure. So you'll see in that fight, actually second round, you'll see in the fight, I kick him, you can hear it, bah! And then I believe in Portuguese when they say vai vai, so it's like go go go.
Mhm.
They're yelling at Adrian to go, but they see I was in pain. I fucking kicked him hard inside leg kick, and it was like crack. I remember putting my foot down. I thought I broke it. Before I got my foot down, I thought, yep, broke my shit. I broke my shit. Nope. I sat there. I'm like, fuck. I bet. So you see me go like this. Damn it. I start going at him. I pick my one hand up and thinking he's not going to throw. He just starts coming at me. Like, okay, fuck it. I said, I backed up. I remember going, I got to do something. And I remember watching, and this is how fast it hit my head. I remember watching Chuck Liddell do a switch, an overhand right straight. and I did that to Adriano just out of instinct. Boom, and a left hook, boom, put his ass to the ground. After that fight, I remember my jaw was fucked up, my leg is fucked up. I'm hobbling around. I can't eat. I couldn't open my mouth enough to fucking get food down. My coach is like, dude, you're busted up. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe, these guys helped me get in there. I was wasted. I couldn't eat really. They're trying to give me, the little cups of coffee.
Uh-huh.
Drink, man, drink, drink. I think I had two or three of those, and I went and crashed, knocked out. The following later that day, that's when we went out to the mall while he took us out the mall. I mean, but those kind of like those little memories of those guys being there early, getting the music for the walkout. It's kind of cool shit. It makes you feel like, okay, this is what it would be like in the UFC if you're
Right.
kind of there,
Right.
or Pride. I'm sure you might be too. I'm a big fan of Pride.
Oh yeah.
I love the whole aesthetics of Pride. It's
Oh,
great.
it was so
But
elaborate, and it
being
was,
there,
man.
yeah.
I
Well,
like.
being there and was
Oh, I was just I liked Pride more than the UFC at that time, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that one. But if you look at the jungle fight, they kind of modeled that Pride from there. They had Antonio Inoki there
Mhm.
the one year when Stephen Bonner fought against
Yeah,
Machida.
he was involved with them. He was pretty heavily involved. Um, so you go to you end up fighting the next fight after that, 2007. You fight Corey Gardner at Bourbon Street. Was Keith Wisniewski matchmaking in this event? Obviously, it was Mike Davis who was promoting it, but did Keith match make it?
Yeah, Keith was there. Keith was part of that. The Corey Gardner fight, if I remember correct, I thought I don't know who this guy is, and I remember when I took the fight, I wasn't really training hard. I was sort of lax on it, and uh, I felt like I have to beat him fast. I didn't know what my cardio would be.
Mhm.
I felt like I was like at maybe a 70%. Um, I just remember him being like, I'm like, damn, I was like, why do every one of these guys look fucking so much bigger than me? I walk up to him like, gee. I mean, I beat him. He was really nothing too tough, but I remember saying, I can't fucking, I can't slack, because that's get beat by a no namer because I had no idea who that guy was or what he was about. I had no idea. I remember they had like a female promoter or coach or somebody who was kind of like right there, always screaming and yelling. I do remember that.
Your next fight, Dueling Classic, is an outdoor one. I was there for this one. You knocked out Craig Kaufman. Well,
Yeah.
for your perspective, how did you feel about fighting outdoors like that?
Oh, that's not bad. That's kind of cool. I was glad it wasn't too like the canvas wasn't slick because I've been to a couple outdoor events where we're inside a cage or a
Yeah.
canvas and it's
Uh,
the moisture goes on the canvas and it's fucking slick and messed up. So no,
yeah.
it was okay.
There was really good weather that night, actually. Yeah, I remember there wasn't a ton of fights on the card, but it was actually nice out. And then
It was a great.
your final fight, C3 Evolution. At after weigh-ins at the hotel that Braulio had. I don't remember what hotel. Me and Ray Flores did the pre-fight interviews. We had you on. I think that video is actually still up on YouTube, the pre-fight videos, which is like that's
Yeah,
funny. Me
it
and
is.
Ray would like work really close together on this. Like we like Braulio kind of just let us do our thing. Um, he
That's
would
what I
give
was gonna
a
say.
little
That
bit
was
of
the last time
insight.
I had talked to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the last time. Like when I talked to you like this, back and forth.
Right.
Before we started this, I'm like, damn, you know what? I was like, yeah, last time I talked to this dude like this, we were in a little room getting ready for
Yeah.
the C3.
Yeah. I remember, man, all right, trying to get that edited. So I was working at GNC at the time. This was at nighttime. So the next day I pretty much brought my laptop into GNC with me at work. And I had to just cram and edit it. And it was at the time where like you didn't upload things to the internet. I needed to burn it to a DVD. And oh my God, trying to get that on the nick of time and getting out on time and speeding over to the horseshoe was like pretty much by the time I got in there to hand the DVD off to like the staff there is when it was ready for them to play in front of like it was man, that was a close call. Yeah, that was a
Oh, no
stressful
shit.
day for me to try to edit because it wasn't like now geez, the videos are so easy to do, but technology wasn't what it was back in 2009. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah, yeah.
Did you know that was going to be your
Phones, man,
last
just
fight
think
or
what the
no?
phones about. What's
Yeah.
that?
Did you know that was going to be your last fight or no?
No, no. I remember thinking I would probably take a couple more. And you know what, man? It bled into uh, me kind of having a fallout with the guy I was teaching for and
Mhm.
working for,
Yeah.
and then it started. My marriage was going bad. So those things by 2011 and the 12, I should have taken fights a couple times, but I let a couple things get into my head and affect me, and I just slowly was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. No, I'll take that one. Listen. I had when I left the gym I was teaching at, I got a call um for Bodog fights, St. Petersburg in Russia, a thing in Saudi Arabia, and Japan for cage force.
Yeah.
Um, then I remember at the house, I got a call from Bellator, and they wanted me to fight the black guy with the last name Green, about 155, 160, something like that.
Mhm.
And he straight out said, I can't remember the dude's name, but he straight up said, he goes, this fight would be great for you. It'll be about 6-6 to show and win. And I was super pumped, and I'm like, yeah, 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 that'd be fucking great. But I was sitting in limbo. I hadn't been really training. I wasn't. I had no partners. The only place I was deciding to go to was Doomland, and I hadn't even pulled the trigger to do that yet.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at my wife at the time, like, "Hey, this is a good fucking opportunity," but it never really manifested. And even when King of the Cage called, the things fell through for them too. Bulldogs fell through like 3 times. Cage Force, I didn't even know what happened with that. And at the same time, the guy I was teaching for, Al, at Extreme Martial Arts, he he started getting kind of weird and sketchy. There was a whole money thing for him.
Mhm.
I don't know. So I remember saying, "Listen, I can't do it no more. I can't teach for you." And then he had me at one point sign this stupid NDA shit and non-compete uh,
Yeah.
contract or whatever.
Yep.
So I'm like, dude, I basically said, screw you with that shit. I said, I don't give a fuck what you do. I'm gonna go over here and open up a gym. I started doing that. That wasn't long lived. We took over a place in Hammond or in Griffith, and somehow we got the owners of the building wanted us to pay the guy who got the gym from his back rent of like 4 grand or something. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So instead of arguing with them, I just remember going, nope, we're done. I'm out of here, pulling our shit out of this. Get the hell out of here. And I think I trained a couple times over at LA Boxing before they changed it to UFC gym.
Right.
And then I ended up opening up a gym with um, Andre Campos
Okay.
over in the judo guy.
Mhm.
Um, we had that for about maybe 2 years. And then my job was I couldn't get out in time enough. I
Mhm.
kept getting there so late. And I felt Andre was dragging his feet with stuff because we weren't getting paid for nothing. We were supposed to split like in quarters. And I'm not much of a money guy when it comes to that. I was like, I don't want to get into details with these people, but I just said, we're coming here, we're doing this, and you're taking all the profit. You're doing whatever you got to do. I said, it's fine. We agreed that we would build some because at the time, I don't know if you knew that, Steve Cologne was
Right.
in that gym.
Right.
They had all their cages and stuff, and so all those guys are going to fit. And for Steve, he was pretty successful with all the guys coming there and constantly showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Once they got out of there, it was just Andre, and Andre asked, kept begging, begging, begging. He actually listen. He actually begged me, my brother, so bad. I had my daughters at a fucking Sky Zone thing, and they're letting them jump around. This dude showed up there. Listen, let's have a little meeting. Let me discuss this with you. Like, fuck, if you're really that adamant about it, I'm like, okay, let me hear what you got to say. And hey, we'll do this, we'll make some money, or name the gym, or do something. Okay, well, all right, fuck it, let's do it. It
Right.
worked well for about the first year and a half. And then when my job didn't allow me to get out in time, I just said, dude, I'm not going to have it where I can't keep showing up like that.
Right.
I'm just going to pull myself out of it. You guys take it over. Well, he took it over, and he's got one student that I was training. He's got him teaching right now.
Yeah.
Doing all right. But yeah, um, it wasn't really me wanting to quit. Just a couple of things in the way, and they kind of snowball. So it's
So
really my fault. I should have been able to have a tougher mindset and go through it, but I did.
before we wrap up, we only got about like a minute and a half before this thing boots us off. MMA back then compared to MMA back now, which do you prefer? Old school or
Um,
the new product?
the talent back then isn't as high level as it is today, but it definitely is. It was higher in our time than it was when I grew up watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the atmosphere of what I remember, which I bet you would agree also. It seemed more alive, more happening. Seemed like it was everywhere. Couldn't escape anything, MMA wise.
Mm-hmm.
It just was like MMA there, MMA here, jiu-jitsu this, jiu-jitsu that. I felt like I was in it, and that's all I seen. I felt like there was no way my life could be any different. It was just so much now after say COVID or even somewhere in that time. It just looks so dead. I don't hear about it. I mean, obviously you see the UFC rising and some other things,
Right.
but nothing like when I was first starting to fight and kind of in the middle of my quote unquote career. It seems so much more vibrant and alive. I don't know how to really put it. It
Yeah,
seems
no, I know
much
what you
more
mean.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Miguel Torres and everybody doing jiu-jitsu, just yeah, seems so alive.
I miss those days, I'll
Um,
say that. You know?
yeah, I do too, man. Being at the Civic Center as much as I was, yeah, I loved it.
And yeah.
Everybody was there. Yeah, I do. I miss the crap out of it, man.
Yep.
If I can give up my job, I'd go do that again.
Yep. All right, Steve. Well, I thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure.
All right, man. You have a good one. Thank
All
you.
right, you too. Signing out.